Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to give you my review of Deadpool 2. In preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine, which is my number one most anticipated movie, earlier this year around Valentine's Day, I reviewed the first Deadpool, and I wanted to make sure I got to review the second Deadpool. And I'm really glad that I got a chance to go back and watch this film because honestly, I ended up liking it more than I remembered. But before we go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, edit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Subscribing is absolutely free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it'll absolutely make my day. So like I just said, I really ended up liking this movie more than I remembered. If you were to ask me just before watching this again, I would say, yeah, I like Deadpool 2. It's good. It's a good movie. It's not nearly as good as the first one, but I like it. But I would kind of change my tune a little bit. Now I would say Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 are actually very close in terms of quality for me. So that's always a welcomed surprise when you have a movie you like, you go back, you rewatch it, and you like it more than you remembered. That's just always a lot of fun. So jumping right into it, I think it's kind of difficult to say how good or bad the script is, mostly because there's so much improvisation in this film. So everything that ended up on the screen wasn't necessarily on the page. But of course, Ryan Reynolds and the other writers, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, were on set, so they definitely had input on the improvisation and what ended up making it to film. It's safe to say that all three of these guys understand Deadpool. They understand this character and kind of the world Deadpool lives in. And they definitely understand the Deadpool kind of comedy. The jokes come at you super fast. There's a ton of really funny lines, really funny jokes, a lot of funny moments in this film. Not all of the jokes work for me, but there's just a sheer quantity of jokes. There's a lot of like laughs per minute throughout this film. And so if a joke doesn't work, just give it a little bit of time, and I'm sure there'll be another one that comes around that will work. Just the volume of jokes here, the good ones will just make you forget maybe the one or two that just didn't really make you laugh. Continuing on with the script, the story is a little bit thin. There's not a lot to the story here. There's just kind of like one singular thread that kind of holds everything together. But just because there's not a ton to the plot doesn't mean that it can't have an impact. It definitely does make an impact. There's a lot of heart in this film, just like the first one. I love the message kind of about found family and, the things you would do for your family and things family would do for you, even if it's blood relation or not. And I love how that theme seems to be continuing in Deadpool and Wolverine. They're able to take this kind of goofy and silly character and story and really give so much heart and emotion here. And I think they handled the emotional moments really well. It could be easy to kind of let them get away from you a little bit, trying to make people laugh. You throw in a joke where it doesn't need to be, but I think they handled the balance of comedy and drama very well. I will say, I wish there was more of like maybe a B or C plot too in the story instead of just kind of the one main thread. We get some tiny little bits from other characters, but mostly it's just this one thread in the story that's kind of holding everything together. And the thing that really makes this story stand out is the characters and the performances in this whole story. I think it was a smart idea to bring Cable into the story. I think Cable and Deadpool is a fun combination. They have really great chemistry in this film, and I like how they don't let the time travel element overtake the story. It could have been very easy for it to just kind of overwhelm the story they were trying to tell, but for the most part, they really kind of kept the time travel out of it, other than just like one or two moments here with Cable, and it works. One other complaint I kind of have is that I'm not the biggest fan of the Russell character. I understand why he's there. I appreciate what they do with him and how his story connects to Wade, but I feel like that they could have done it in a better way. I feel like his character could have been written differently, written maybe a little bit more relatable, a little bit more interesting, because we as an audience don't 100% relate to Wade as a character, and that's perfectly okay. There's moments here and there that we do. And so having somebody like the Russell character where the audience can really connect to, I feel like would be even more beneficial. So I'm not the biggest fan of what they did with this character, but it doesn't necessarily bring the story down a ton for me. It just honestly serves its purpose. I feel like the audience probably should have been feeling more how Wade was feeling toward the end of the story, and I don't necessarily think I got there. So as a whole, I think there are some good elements to this story, and then I think there's some that could have used a little bit of reworking. But like I said, I think the writers do understand these characters, and the character moments and the character interactions, that's really where this story shines. All of the performances here are really good. Like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, some might even say Chris Evans as Captain America. I think Ryan Reynolds was absolutely born to play Deadpool. And Ryan Reynolds really is the driving creative force behind these films. And you could tell just the love that he has for this character. It comes through in both the writing and in his performance. And his performance here is just pure Deadpool. He nails the comedy, he nails the drama. He just does such a great job in this film. It could be easy to kind of lean into the sarcasm and the comedy of this character and of this performance and kind of let the dramatic and more heartfelt side get away from me, but he does not do that here. He is able to balance both, just like how the script and how the film is able to balance both moments. Ryan Reynolds is able to balance both in his performance. Josh Brolin as Cable was absolutely fantastic casting. I mean, Josh Brolin just looks like Cable. His character was one note. That's not necessarily to say that his character was uninteresting, because he was interesting. I like what they did with Cable, but just his role in this film was more of just kind of the straight man to Wade's kind of wacky and crazy side. And those two worked together, but that left Cable being a little bit more one note. But with as good of a performer that Josh Brolin is, he makes that one note very interesting and he gives a good performance. So even though he didn't have a ton to do dramatically, Josh Brolin did give a good performance with that one or two notes that he was given from the script. And like I mentioned earlier, Deadpool and Cable had great chemistry together in this film, and part of that is because of Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin working together. Those were the two big standouts to me in the cast, but everybody did a really good job. Kind of the whole ensemble of these characters is really what makes these Deadpool films special. There's a lot of characters that you end up caring about, even if they just have like a small moment. I think all of the X-Force characters were really fun, and all of these actors in these roles do such a great job, no matter how big the role is. They play these characters so well, whether it's dramatic, comedic, either way. David Leitch was the director of this film. He took over for Tim Miller, and I love the way he handled this film. If you don't know him, he has directed films like Bullet Train and Atomic Blonde and The Fall Guy. He also co-directed John Wick. He's done stunts and he's done like second unit directing on a whole bunch of action films. So you know he knows action, and he absolutely delivers that here in this film. I love the look of this film just as a whole, but I love the look of it specifically during the action. The action is just really stylish and violent and fun to watch. The fight choreography is a lot of fun. It's creative and it has a lot of impact. You never get lost in what's happening in the action, and you can clearly see what's happening. You can tell both through the action and through the CGI that they had a higher budget for this film, and that is much appreciated. Most of the CGI looked really good, especially for the budget they had. However, I will say there are a few spots here and there throughout the film where you can tell the CGI was lacking a little bit. So sometimes it's a little spotty. It's not really the biggest deal, but you can definitely tell those moments whenever they come up. I really love this movie. It's so much fun, but I can't sit here realistically and tell anybody watching this, hey, you should go watch this movie because I think you'll love it. It's a lot of fun. I like the humor. The action's awesome, but I completely understand that this isn't for everybody. The Deadpool films are great. They have some great filmmaking, both in the first one and in the second one here. But the tone they take, the comedy, the sarcasm, the violence, I understand that that's not necessarily for everybody. So if you are the kind of person where this sounds interesting, this kind of like super violent, stylish, sarcastic comedy kind of film is for you, then I think you will absolutely love it. This film has a lot of laughs, it has a lot of great action, and it has some heart to the story. Although I wish there was a little bit more to the story as a whole. The characters really tie everything together. This movie as a whole was just kind of over the top in the best way possible. And I'm so glad I got to rewatch this. I'm so glad that I like it more than I even remembered. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Deadpool 2. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Also, are you excited for Deadpool and Wolverine? I am so excited. By the time you're seeing this, I'm seeing it tomorrow, Friday. I'm so excited. And I will be bringing you my review of Deadpool Wolverine. That'll be the next review I do. So to make sure you don't miss it or any upcoming reviews I do, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.